Hello everyone, welcome to Keystone Academia. So today we'll be discussing the Pre-seen analysis. So we have done part one where we have done the first few pages and the introduction. Today we'll be continuing from that. Then we have part three, that is financials. So technically we have three parts. You have seen the first part, this is the second part. Then we'll have part three where we have the financials. So in the first part we have seen the introduction. What is your mindset or why mindset is very important, because case study exam is more about application. Then the introduction, what is your role, this is ultimately very important. For example, questions will be coming as a special project and strategic matters, so we should know what is the difference and what kind of projects and strategic matters we are actually doing. Your role, introduction to electric cars, and we have seen evolutions of the EVs, how it has changed from 1830s, now what's happening in 2025, and what we are expecting in the next coming years. So now we'll continue the next part. So the important topic after that is petrol range despite EV promise. So technically, we have seen that EV is getting pushed. Government is pushing, incentive is there. However, incentive is coming down if you see last 1 year in 24 and all. But overall, the demand for petrol cars have not gone down. So we have petrol car, diesel car, traditional cars are still dominating the market. If you see China, just in China, we have more than 60% EVs, but every other country apart from China still have more traditional ICE cars, internal combustion engine, right? If you see, for example, African market is just 1% electric cars. In India, we have like, again, in single digit. US, it is, I think, 11, 12, around that. So technically, we are competing. Cewmlator is competing with the ICE engines, what we used to do previously. So there can be a scenario that why don't we do ICE engine plus EVs? Why we have petrol cars? The advantage, because familiarity and trust is there, lower upfront cost, and it's not only upfront cost. You have more resale market. Let's say if you have a good brand like Toyota, so after 10 years, 15 years, also people are coming and buying it. Refueling convenience, range anxiety is not there, performance perceptions. Where if you look at EVs, zero tailpipe commissions, life cycle sustainability is not there. Lower operating cost is an advantage, but again, you don't have the second hand market. However, if you see the government, if you are going into like big corporate clients, they are going for EVs. Any government in the world, or we can say at least most of them, are buying electric vehicles because they want to show their commitment to sustainability, whether it's developed country or underdeveloped countries. We have seen that with BYD cars in London and other areas in the world as well, like for example in India, like that. Now, petrol in despite EV promise. So what is that? Charging infrastructure is a major challenge. Limited charging networks, grid dependency, and energy mix, slower charging speeds. These are like main problems. And if we are partnering with some of the infrastructure provider, like we have Aldi, we have like Walmart, all of these big companies, those who have massive parking, they can set up a parking charging station. But the problem is very costly. And who will pay for it? Unless this company have their financial incentive, they might not do anything about it. Consumer awareness, misconceptions about EV performance, limited understanding of EV benefits, customers are not aware. And obviously, we have different categories of customers that we have seen in industry analysis. For example, millennials are there, logistic companies are there, big corporates, government agencies are there. Then we have rural customers, and again, uncertainty about charging infrastructure. Maybe government can push and invest in it, or sometimes government take the step back. It might be a problem. We have already seen this type of electric vehicles. We can quickly have a look at it. If you are going in battery electric vehicles, fully electric powered by large rechargeable batteries. If you go in PHEV plug-in, dual electric plus diesel, but technically it's more about petrol diesel only, it's running on gas. Then HEV, hybrid electric vehicle, petrol diesel engines generates electricity. No external charging is there. This is what uh, if you look at our thing, we are focusing mostly on BEV, but again, it's not technically electric. Then MHEV is there. I mean, it's getting some power, but primarily, if you look, BEV is the only thing that is completely electric. Rest all is kind of hybrid. Then we have MHEV, mild hybrid electric cars. electric vehicles, we can call electric motor assist petrol diesel engines cannot run on electricity alone. Then chargings usually remain the same, especially in this HEV and MHEV, we don't have a plug-in. Then driving range. Now it depends. What we have taken here is from the industry. So 160 to 600 kilometers. But if you see in our pre-seen, they have not given up to 600. They are given 270, 300, around that range, less than 300 only. PHEV, 60 kilometer on battery is there. Then HEV, only a few kilometer on battery. Technically ICE only, cannot drive on electric power alone. So this too is not technically electric. Even if you see PHEV somewhat, but primarily BEV is the new change. Emission efficiency, zero tailpipe emission, because complete, then lower emission, slightly lower emission. But remember, the problem here with the emission is when the battery is being manufactured, when the mining for lithium is done, that time actually a lot of emission happens. If you look at the limitations, cannot be towed if battery dies. So technically, the insurance might ask a higher charge every month because it cannot be towed away. I have to, put into the vehicle altogether. Then if you see limitation, PHEV, smaller fuel tank, added weight from dual system because it has electric plus petrol diesel. Then we have HEV. ICE doesn't drive wheels directly. So limited electricity or only capability, we can say. It's not powered by that minimal electric contribution. But the good part is if we go into HEV, we have like mix of both because at Cewmlator we are coming with the experience of doing ICE engines or ICE cars. So this remains another important topic. Moving forward, if you're looking at the graph in 2024, technically this is taken exactly from the pre-seen. So if you see ICE is like a million, then after that BEV is the highest, and maybe we are one of the largest seller here, or we have our competitor Atom, then HEV, PHEV. So technically BEV, what we talk about here, battery electric vehicle, that is 100% on electric, that is leading. And after that we have HEV, this one hybrid, where limited only few kilometers on battery if you look at the driving range. That's the second one. Then we have the third one, second one is MHEV. MHEV is technically an ICE engine car because we don't have a plug-in battery, but it is more environmental friendly. Plus the other parts of the braking and other system can be running on the battery. Then we have last is PHEV, dual electricity, and both it has 60 kilometer of the battery. This may be very similar to what is happening in some of the markets. However, if you combine all of this, let's say this is 400 and this is around 450, 420, something like that. Technically, we are coming closer to that, or maybe slightly higher than. Overall, maybe we are more than a million. But the problem still remains the same. Let's say it's both are equal. The problem is they are not completely electric. So we have competition with the ICE. So if you see traditional players like even luxury brand like BMW is there, Audi, Volvo, they are not completely electric. They have got electric version because it's very risky to go completely into electric cars. That's the decision we have taken. Maybe that is giving us dividend. Overall, our financials are good at Cewmlator, and maybe we don't want to, focus on so many areas. You want to keep on the core competencies. So that's another thing. But at the same time, there is a risk. How to enhance EV sales in market? So some points can be address consumer awareness. Firstly, they should be aware what are the benefits. Many times, people think, oh, it's more expensive. For example, we have seen almost 20-30% price difference, sometimes even 50% price difference compared to ICE cars. So we need to make sure, we understand after 1 year, 2 year, it will be, very cheaper for them. They can cover up the cost. They can save on the fuel. Then improve infrastructure. Here we might have to do partnership. We need government support. All the other things need to come in. Then financial incentive. Maybe again, it can come from government, or we can have our more own financial support like easy EMI, equated monthly installment plans. Capture ICE market share strategies to attract ICE consumers to EV. Or we have a lot of families, if you see in developed countries, they have number of cars, right? Cars is like a basic necessity in a lot of places, let's say in the US market. So they might have ICE car also, electric cars also. So they will choose if they're going outside the town, they will go on ICE. If it is within the town, they'll go with electric. So we have like this customers. How we can improve their dependency on our cars? That should be the thing to work forward. Now, if you're looking at the next 5 years, ICE car dominance because fossil fuel vehicles are on the road. But the problem is due to geopolitical issues, this price keeps on fluctuating. So anxiety is there about the range. Savings we have to highlight. Ultimately, majority of the customers are looking for cost. We have premium customers, they are looking more on style and speed. But primarily, it is more onto the saving. Then connect EVs with freedom. So these are like normal point, depends on you. Then pestle analysis is very important. As you have seen in our live classes, I usually focus on pestle and SWOT. So pestle gives us an understanding. Now the problem is here, Duxland like country doesn't exist. So what to do? So take some points from the pre-seen, take some point from different market like US market, European market or Chinese market and see what are the pestle issues usually affecting the industry. For example, if you look on the policy, then government regulation and goals is a very important part. And then e-consumer cost, economic, as society, how they are changing consumer demand. T is about technology. E is about environment, how sustainability goals and everything are working. L is regulation, loopholes or legal requirements. Now, moving on, if you see this chart is taken exactly from there, EV price compared to an equivalent ICE. So technically, the biggest challenge we have seen, or we can say two major challenge. One is the cost, second is infrastructure. So for infrastructure, it is not in our control to do it everywhere. We are making chargers which is more convenient or faster. In fact, BYD is challenging that they are coming up with the batteries that can be charged as fast as refueling the vehicle. So that sound like too good to be true, or maybe it's very difficult to imagine that coming up in a year or two. It will take some time. However, the cost has come down, especially companies like BYD where they have a complete in-house, they are controlling most of the ecosystem. They have reduced the cost. They are cheaper than almost like $7,000-8,000 to their competitors in the European market, despite coming international. So they have reduced the cost. The battery cost is also coming down. So if the cost come closer than the ICE cars, then people might think, okay, I want to give a try to this. So what we can do, again, financial aid support, EV advocacy by the government and other actors in the society. Lean manufacturing can help us to save. Zero cost EMI. Why is the price reduced? Because of the innovation. That's you have to think. Is this a healthy decline? Technically, yes. But how far it can go? Because sometimes while prediction, we can be very optimistic. With the price decrease, why hasn't the sales of EV picked up? Maybe the financial aid is not there, or it's not about that. Still, people are not saying, okay, you have reduced by this many $1,000, but what is in compared to the ICE cars? That's what matters. Then long-term benefits, all of this also need to come. The biggest thing is range anxiety. From skepticism to switch, tackling range means and charging friction. We have to look at, if you want to achieve this, so we have to market it in a different way. Manufacturer role, awareness we have to create. Home charging cost, we have to see how much it is affecting. For example, now what Tesla is done in the US, they are coming with their own solars. So they want to fit a solar in a house which should generate enough energy to take care of all the electricity needs or power needs of that house. That includes the charging. So if they have solar, they don't have cost there apart from the major investment, when they are installing it. Maybe minor maintenance cost, technically no cost, no fixed electricity cost, plus their cars will be charged. So that is a good project Tesla is working on. Something like this can bring benefit to the industry. Then we don't have enough second-hand market. As we have seen, most of the car batteries might not go after 5 years, 7 years, 8 years. We have promised around 8 years for our accumulator cars that 80% of the battery will be good. What if after that? Mostly it won't work. Or at least for now, we don't have a second-hand market. Or we can say still the first-time users are experiencing it. So selling can be difficult. Charging access inequality. Because in certain infrastructure, if you are in a good area or in a good geography, different section, then you'll have access to charging, otherwise not. Public charging reliability and visibility is where time to charge versus time to fuel. That's another problem. Especially this is the reason why for rides people don't want to do it. So if we are achieving this, let's say there has been some news. I don't exactly remember the source. It was saying they want to make one charging going up to 1,000 kilometers or 1,000 miles. So maybe then the logistic company, especially if you're talking about big trucks or even mini trucks, they can be interested to move to EV. Otherwise, they don't have that time. The world is connected by logistics, so logistics cannot take that risk. Grid readiness, energy mix, battery longevity, replacement cost. Then EV charging and battery realities, if you're looking at charging point split and speed, slow and fast, 7 to 9 hours. Can you imagine? It take almost overnight to completely charge. So we have to move to this rapid, ultra rapid, 25 minutes, ideal for highways and high turnover zones. Strategic deployment must balance speed, location, and grid capacity. So we have big gas stations. For example, in the US, in Texas, we have one called Bucky's. They are there on strategic position. Hundreds of them are there. So something like this, a brand can come up and they can set up all these charging points. Battery life and replacement. EV batteries typically last 8 to 10 years. Technically, we are promising 8 years, but the problem is the range usually reduces. I have a scooter. I mean, that's not exact example, but I have used a electric scooter. But within 4, 5, 6 months, the battery is down almost 50%. And it was a good brand. So that's the problem. Maybe these cars won't have that much problem, but over the years, definitely it will reduce. And that too 80% or 8 years when we are saying it is in the best case scenario. What if people are doing some mistakes? They're not charging properly. They're not using the power or the adapter. A lot of things can come in. They're not using the proper source of power. It's too high, too low. A lot of things can affect them. It can impact resale value and long-term affordability. Charging behavior split among BEV owners. 80% have home chargers, 20-50 supplement with public charging. Or for example, at work they should have a charging stations. 20% rely entirely on public infrastructure, most vulnerable to cost and access issues. Battery degradation, resale anxiety is another problem. Charging access inequality is another thing. Public charging stations are considered on a high demand zones. Cost burden of public charging. Who will take that cost? Why government will come? Because government also cannot run on losses. We have to create a model where everyone is getting benefit. We are coming up with like a win-win situation. Strategic manufacturer solution should be there. Government role in infrastructure equity, expanding home charging access, especially in some societies they don't have proper places to charge. It's a good point. Imagine standing on a quiet street where the hum of engines fade into whispers of electric motors. The future mobility isn't just about tech, it's about trust, access, and awareness. It will also reduce like sound pollution. You know, there was some research done, I think it was in Harvard University. Most of the rides people are taking are short term. Almost 60 to 70% are less than 5 to 8 miles, around that. That's how the micromobility companies came in, like Uber, Lyft, and we have a lot of other micromobility depending on the country. Where if you talk about Indian market, we have Ola. So most journeys are short, most savings are long term, and most barriers are solvable. So the challenge in infrastructure alone is mindset. And when we say mindset, it's not about our mindset at Cumulator, it's all about our ecosystem, our suppliers, our vendors, the government, the actors in the society. EVs outperform ICE in urban condition due to regenerative braking and lower energy loss. But what about other areas, rural areas? Awareness and behavioral gaps is another problem. Many motorists remain unaware of real world range needs, cost advantage of home charging, and available subsidies. So we have to educate them. So what we have to do as a cumulator, we are not just manufacturing car, we are change maker. We are changing uh, indirectly, we are changing the world, because the world is connected because of mobility, whether it's long term or short term. So we want to have this major shift. I mean, Overall, the governments have also committed, like European Union have committed after a few decades they want to be carbon neutral. Then every country is also committing. So they have this in plan, but who will bear the cost? That's a major problem because every country, every company is into their short-term pressure. Geopolitical issues are going on. So all of this can have an impact. We quickly look at the numbers. 17 million EVs were sold in 2024. The market share of EVs varies between countries ranging from 12 to 85%. I think again 85 can be mostly theoretical, but let's see. The global EV market is valued at $250 billion. In future, demand should be stimulated due to reduction in production costs. So there are two things: the cost should come down and the infrastructure should build up. Let's say it is coming exactly same like ICE cars. So definitely people will find it cheaper. Key trends. When I say people will find it cheaper because they don't have to refuel it. Charging can be cheaper than refueling it, like gas. Key trends. When I say gas, I'm referring to petrol and diesel, right? Key trends. Developments in the chemistry of EV battery packs are expected to increase the range of EVs and reduce the cost of making batteries. EV market share percentage of new car sales: China is 65, as we discussed, highest, Europe 17, US 7, India 7.8, global average is 25%. 25% is decent, but the problem is dominated by these markets. Now, if you see the production, global average battery pack price, technically we are in 2025, so it's projected that by end it will come down. However, it will slowly go down. So by 2030, you might see almost, if you compare, let's say this is 160 on the round figure. So it is almost like 70, 75, almost 50%. Let's say this is 150, then this is 75. So 50% is a massive thing, in the matter of 8 years. So technically, we can see some kind of revolution coming up because of the cost. And I hope if you just change this graph into the infrastructure buildup, maybe the infrastructure is 75, and now it will become 150. So if that happens, definitely we can see the change. But one thing is for sure, what we are doing at Cumulator, we have a future. We can grow here. What percentage of growth can come, that's a totally different thing. But the industry is growing. Percentage share of EV market by revenue, if you see, Atom, they are leading. We have Dilson, then we have Cumulator. If you see, we are very close to them. We almost have 15, they have like 16, 17, very close. We are one of the top three. Otherwise, all are small. So usually a question comes and, like in this case, Cumulator is acquiring Atom or Atom is acquiring Cumulator. The probability of that can be lower, especially if both are coming from Duxland, because, it can create a monopoly. So there might be a scenario for you that you're acquiring one of these smaller companies or maybe a joint venture strategic alliance. However, this big three, like we have big fours in finance, they're dominating the world, EY, KPMG, Deloitte, all of this. So same thing, this, according to Pre-seen, we are this big three. So I believe definitely we are having a strategic partnership with each other, helping each other to grow. We have businesses, and obviously, if you have similar problem like battery charging infrastructure, doesn't make sense to go and spend money separately. Why can't we come up and do it together? Scenario in excellent market. EV manufacturers commitment range from ICE legacy to full EV focus. So you have other smaller players also coming up. Then is it possible to partner with ICE and modify them to PHEV on all of this? That is definitely possible. For 1952 initially focused on ICE vehicles. This is our business model technically. We started in 1952. So these are the facts you can use uh, to answer. We have a lot of experience from ICE. If you want to go back, Cumulator always have an advantage. Reputation, we have built so much of reputation. So if we are such a leading company, we have taken a big risk or jump moving to electric completely. So definitely we have seen some research. We are listed company. We have stakeholders. We have committees. So we might have done a lot of homework. Plus, we have trust in the market. First BV launched its first BV in 2012, targeting eco-conscious consumers. So this shows that we are not risk averse. We are taking a lot of risk, and obviously that is giving us dividend, and we are on top three in the industry. We got listed in 1968. Being listed brings a lot of advantage and disadvantage. innovation, we are innovating, and obviously we'll have a decent number of employees working in R&D. Maybe let's say 5%, 10% of total number of employees, few thousand, 10,000 maybe, depend how big the company is. ICE phase out, fully phase out ICE production by 2020. So the change was there, but we didn't do it directly in 2012. We started there, then we saw the demand, then in 2020 during COVID time. Even in COVID and you see post-COVID world, people are more environmental conscious. So we took that call. These are the facts you should remember for the please. Then types of cars, what we have. So technically we have 4 types of cars in Cewmlator. We have time, that is capacity of 2. Compact urban BV, minimum luggage space, range is 143 kilometers, lightweight, ideal for city driving. Technical people going to office and coming back. Maybe capacity is 2 and just a single person is using. That's what happened many times. Most of the cars when they are traveling, usually single person. Then we have another one that is called Trap. So what we are doing, like versatile hatchback. It's like a family car, sitting capacity of 2, let's say family of 4 and they have a dog. So maybe that is just for luggage. Large boot plus foldable rear seats, so they can use for long rides. If you see, we have a difference in the range also. It's sporty, it can go fast, it's agile, mixed urban and highway use. Then we have Twist, family SUVs, 5 adults, very large boot plus foldable rear seat, same, but we have 375 range. Technically, it's SUV, excuse me, SUV means we understand that it is a bigger car. Like we have Toyota Innova and other cars. Comfort focus, cargo friendly, family travel and utility it can be used. Then we have Scots. Technically, this for urban millennials. They're looking for something trendy and all high performance sports BEV. Capacity is 2. Weekend luggage capacity 400-kilometer range. The main thing is the speed 0 to 100 kilometer. So here we are targeting younger customers. Here in the previous two, it's more about family, then again individual. So technically we need to have a mix. If we give just one model, people might not like it. So we have covered all the major kind of customers. Only thing we don't have is we don't have truck, we don't have buses. Maybe that can be a scenario, that can be an exam question. We can go into buses, I was thinking, we can go into scooters, we can go into three-wheelers, we can go into so many places. We have a very good infrastructure, we have a very good brand name. What is our warranty features? What we are promising to our customers? Segment lending range. Cewmlator models rank in the top 3 for range within their segments. This reinforces the reputation. So we are one of the leader in our sector. Robust warranty coverage. Some other customers, I mean, the competitors might be doing the same thing for the customer. And then robust warranty coverage, 8 years or 160,000 kilometer warranty. So very similar to what Tesla is doing. Otherwise, we'll replace the battery. Then conditional clause is there where it is valid only if the vehicle maintained per owner's handbook. So this can be a little bit of issue if they don't have an infrastructure or the road in that country is not really good. The industry standard, the warranty duration of battery degradation threshold are consistent with global EV benchmarks. If you remember in the previous page, we discussed the global average is 8 to 10 years. Then third-party types. Partnership with insurance providers or service networks would enhance post-sale support. So we need more third-party types also. Consumer trust. The warranty terms appear transparent and fair. Consumer alignment depends on clear communication. Trust is very important. The brand. Brand is all about trust and how we are keeping that trust, how we are sticking to the values. Quality assurance. If third-party service providers are involved, Cewmlator must enforce strict service protocols and maintain brand standards. And if you quickly try to compare what we are providing in the base, fabric seat, thin carpets, if you see looks, upgrade, trim, standards, comfort material, grand looks, leather seats, thick carpet. So technically, if you see, for example, normal Toyota car, let's say Toyota Corolla, and if compared to Lexus, again it's Toyota brand. So they will have a lot of difference from the seating, from the lighting, from the coloring and everything. That's what we are doing. We are not doing in a different brand altogether, but we have a brand name. No sound system, satellite navigation, advanced sound system. So obviously the features have been added when you go to the longer one. So this gives the owner the justification because we are definitely charging higher price for that. So the first one, the target is cost conscious urban commute. Then we have balance or families here, then premium buyers. We have to see how we can convert base to lukes or lukes to grand lukes. Or sometimes what happened, we might have majority of the buyers just for the lukes, but we are doing the base and the grand lukes just to see that we have options. We are not left behind. Let's say if everyone in the market is doing, so we should have the product. Maybe people don't buy that. That is not our key product. But still, we should not bow down to the competition. We should say, okay, we also have an alternative for that. Because at the end, the decision can be motivated, it can be emotional. So what points we can discuss here? How do consumers change over time? Do they prefer cars with upgradation possibilities, sustainability in long term? How the insurance and warranty for each version? That is very important. Wear and tear can be more in the grand leagues, or base can give a decent service but not as comfortable as Luke's. What we are focusing, how we are segmenting the customers. If we go international and let's say we are going to a new market, what kind of branding we are doing, how we are focusing that. That can be based on the demography, that can be based on the earning capacity of the people. How advertising strategies used to increase sales. We need to have maybe different advertisement for different models or maybe different brand ambassador. Understanding our factory. So we are located internationally. So this gives a very good hint that we can have a question on political risk internationally, legal risk. Also, we can have a question on foreign exchange. Foreign exchange can be interest rate risk and currency rate risk. What is the currency exchange risk? We can say not rate, currency exchange. So Duxland, we have two scars. There may be a reason why we are doing that in Duxland and why we are doing Duxland in Scotch cars. So we are not aware of that. Maybe in the exam question they might ask. Eastland, we are doing batteries. I'm expecting a question from here in Eastland. Farland, electric motors. Winland, we are doing trap cars. Groveland, we are doing tiny cars. So technically, when you are global, we have to take care of the geopolitical issues. Or maybe we are doing this because we have a market. Let's say we are uh, producing batteries in Eastland because we have a market in Eastland. And if we do local manufacturing, we don't have to pay higher tariffs. That may be another. What we need to consider: management style, control versus autonomy. How many of them are owned completely by us, or it's like our subsidiary? A lot of things can come into place. Or do we need to outsource some of that in the future? Battery and manufacturing strategy. Model specific assembly we can do. Parland factory manufacture optimized electric motors. Eastland produce tailored lithium batteries. So lithium batteries is what is being used in the industry, but now our one of the real world companies, BID, is saying they will use sodium batteries. That can be another change what we can see in the industry. Error rectification, fire risk management, efficiency optimization, quality checks, precision engineering. So these are all things to maintain the quality. If we get a question on internal control, this can be the points we can talk about. Strategic alternatives can be disruption strategy, diversify sourcing, lab grown lithium and alternatives. So these are new technology coming up, but still it's not at a large scale. We can partner with third parties. Cumulator's precisions build EVs rely on model specific lithium batteries and motors crafted in automated plants. With rising sustainability concern, the company explores alternative sourcing, rigorous quality checks, and fire risk safeguard to ensure performance, safety, and long-term manufacturing resilience. So these are strategy, and we are doing pretty good. Even to change something which is going good can be a risk. Cumulator's global dealership dashboard, if you see, we have 4,600 independent dealers. So this is an important stakeholder. Please consider this. We can get a question from here. Let's say we have a reputation because of one of the dealer not doing or not aligning with our values. Individually, if you see dealers, they'll have low power and high interest with us. Or maybe some dealers or some dealership may be owned by the same company. Let's say 50 of them, 100 of them. That is also possible. But we don't want them to become a key players. or in case some special events happen, we have to recall. So again, we need to take the help of dealership, or we need to give after sales service, again dealership. So we need to maintain them, we need to train their employees, or we need to send our engineers, we need to support infrastructure wise. So very important stakeholders. So maybe a question can come in. Strategic implications. Broad global reach enables localized sales and service coverage. So technically, we might have the best product in the world, but if you don't have distribution, we can't do anything. If you look at Nestle, if you look at Unilever Limited, why they're global, even Coca-Cola, because they have a good distribution. They not only make their products available everywhere in the world, but they make sure that competitors' products are not there. So they have, a funny, I'll not say funny, a very strategic and dominating deal. Core functions of this are showroom, test drives, sales advisory, certified workshops, ensure full cycle customer experience and post sales support. Performance matrix, sales volume, customer feedback, SLA service level agreements can be there. Market adoption varies by country to country. Compliance, we need to be very careful with the compliance. We have to train and standardize when a new product is coming up, new vehicle is coming to definitely train them before. Talent mobility. So technically here, we need to make sure that they are selling our cars. Imagine they are doing ICE plus electric. This can be a problem because ICE can be cheaper. They might get a better margin. Customer feedback loop, contracts and SLA, and obviously what strategic implications it can have. You'll have access to this PDF. Maybe we'll put this in the video. So as a PDF, you can get a link so you can read it slowly as well. If you look at the annual report now, Cewmlator's mission invites expansion beyond EVs into biofuels, hydrogen fuel cells, and solar mobility segments with rising profitability and regional relevance. So technically, the profitability matters just like any other industry. By diversifying sustainable platforms and integrating infrastructure, Cewmlator can lead a resilient multi-modal future, aligning desirability with environmental impact across commercial fleets, urban transit, and emerging energy ecosystems. So to lead, what we need to do, we have to think beyond EVs. Like we said, lot of product development can be done. At the same time, we can think about biofuels, hydrogen fuel cells. So where we'll get this? Maybe university partnership. We have board of directors coming from university, right? Or we can acquire other startups. Look for these models that can also help us to invest and diversify. Annual report, global launch strategy, mitigate risk via regional sourcing, modular performs, adaptive manufacturing, leverage policy incentive, energy diversity, performance and forecasting, showcase past EV success and future projection using carbon offset metrics, leadership and innovation we are doing, expand beyond EVs into biofuels, the same point, operational control and quality. Most of the things are in control, but still, for example, we can take over a mining. Stakeholder engagement is important, aligning with ESG, value proposition, creating value in many different ways. This is important now, board of directors. So any company is as good as the board of directors, right? So we need to see if the board is balanced or not and what skills they are bringing in. Remember, as per UK corporate governance, we have to consider this. For example, being a listed company should have a 50% NEDs. You need to have a balance. NEDs should be equal to the EDs, excluding the chair. So chair is not part of that. Let's start with the CEO, the executives first. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. CEO Kizu, BSc chemistry, lithium mining. So coming from research kind of thing, led R&D, factory turnaround and operations, improved efficiency by 18%. Long tenure ensures continuity, no conflicts, but governance must balance familiarity risk. We have certain risks, but overall coming from this thing can be beneficial. So this is our impact. You can have your own analysis. I strongly recommend all our students in the sessions. When we do live session at Keystone, I tell them to come up with their own points. Then Edwin Mitt, BN ME Technically Masters, Design Engineering, so ICE Gearbox. So technically, operations skills are there. Then Professor Anna, PhD in Aeronautical Engineering. Aeronautical is, not directly, but being a professor and having a relation with the university can be beneficial, like academic partnership, academia. Suhas Patak, economics degree, qualified accountant, Dealership finance roles. So finance sector obviously qualified means like you guys. You guys will be like CIMA qualified now. Means they are member of a professional body. But the thing is not being with us from the start. If you see, till now nobody has. Even if you look at the Stella, like sales director, we don't have anybody who work from the scratch like an intern and working with us continuously. That means we are open to outside talent also. This can also create a challenge. You should have it in-house or outsource. So diploma in marketing, senior sales, roles across strategy. This person joined in 2020. So sales and marketing for different products going into new market, let's say new geography, we need a total different strategy. So we have sales director, finance director, R&D, operations, CEO. What is missing here? Maybe an IT director can be there. Maybe somebody from legal. Legal can be an NED also, but IT director because we have a cyber risk as major here. So that is missing. Now if you go to NED, how many is there? One, two, three. Technically four, but chair is not counted here. One, two, three, four, five. So we are short of two. So we are not in balance. So is it illegal? Can we not operate? No, we can still operate. It's legal, but it's not the best case. It will be difficult to, convince the shareholders or the other stakeholders. Because why you want at least 50% NEDs so that executive don't dominate. We can link this to agency theory. As we know, the like you are a senior finance manager. These executives are also working. They are not the owners. Who are the owners? The shareholders. So there is a risk these people can take their decision for their personal benefit rather than the company's benefit. Therefore, we need NEDs. NEDs are not responsible to other stakeholders. They are primarily responsible to the shareholders. They are like the watchdog. So we want them to be in equal quantity so that they're not being dominated. And obviously, we want them more. Therefore, chair is not counted. But in this case, we don't have that. So maybe two more NEDs can be part of this, and you can do the research. For example, two new NEDs, what skill you want to come up with. Let's see the first one, law degree we have from chairperson. So legal expertise is there. We're discussing law in NEDs. So merger and acquisition specialist. So definitely you should consider this person anything which you are doing merger and acquisition. And remember, M&A is a very commonly asked topic, especially acquisition. Legal and M&A, merger and acquisition expertise aids global expansion, environmental charities align with mission. So environmental charities, again, an important part here. Monitor for government neutrality. We have Salem, PhD in electrical engineering. Strong technical oversight, balanced executive decision, no conflict. Technically, we don't see any conflict. What is a conflict means? Conflict means if somebody is a stakeholder with, let's say, they are suppliers, they are vendors, or they are working with us previously in the short time, or they have their family who is working with us. So that can create all conflicts. When we say independent entities means these people are not related to us in any way. They don't have any personal interest. That's why shareholders trust them than the executives because executives have their personal interest. Then we have Uzma, 20 plus years in business journalism. Technically, coming from university, visiting professor, plus good relationship with the media. Usually, you must have seen a trend. If you see any previous paper, they'll give a news article, and that can affect our share price. Sometimes the news can be true, sometimes it is motivated, but it may be biased. So we have somebody in the board who understands. So any question come with that, you can say our independent director Uzma can take the lead. What she can contribute enhances public accountability and stakeholder communication. It can be difficult, but it is like an advantage. Then we have stamp, lawyer turned politician. So technically, government becomes a very important stakeholder. As we have seen globally, government is incentivizing that. And this person was a member with the government, so he understands what are the government commitments and what they are trying to do in the future. So sustainability champion political links may ethically aid lobbying and regulatory navigation, no evident conflict. You don't have conflict as such, but maybe ethical issues can come in. If you're doing lobbying, it's legal in the UK. You can always recommend as a part of the answer, but the problem is ethics. So technically a decent board, but the problem is we don't have I director, then we have imbalance anyway. Effective board governance, we need a board composition that we have discussed. Division of responsibilities should be there. Then we should have three committees: audit, remuneration, and board. And all three committees are there. The same point. Okay. Now, if you look at the risk report, increased competition from ICE hybrid manufacturers shifting to BVs. That's the risk. So how we can manage that risk. So what we are doing as our practices, we'll come up with the 50 risk what our companies are facing and how we can mitigate that. So you have to talk about the risk, likelihood and impact and how we can mitigate that. Then another risk is consumer preference for BEVs. So don't depend on this risk, come up with your own risk list. This can be a starting point. So consumer preference for BEVs depend heavily on charging infrastructure and competing tech. Then government sustainability policies are evolving and influence ICE hybrid demand. Demand is sensitive to macroeconomic factors like interest rate and employment. Lithium supply is dependent on a single foreign supplier. I mean, it's not exactly given, but as we are making battery, we can maybe assume that global operation expense the company to currency fluctuations across markets. This is a very important point, the last one. This can be an exam question. We discuss, like Forex, foreign exchange risk. Now, sustainability. This is the first time we have been given sustainability committee. Usually it's not. So Cumulator's board receive regular sustainability report and oversight from its risk and CSR committee, but broader integration. So you can have, advantage and disadvantage of sustainability report. Remember, it's not a legal requirement in the UK, but still we are doing it. This also linked to integrated reporting, chapter 2 of F3, where we talk about 6 capitals: financial, intellectual, social, and relationship, and all of those. So what we are doing, Cumulator strategy centers on affect communities and sustainability conscious consumer with broader segments such as cost sensitive buyers, fleet operators, and tech driven users offer untapped potential. So there is a lot of place where we can grow. So we can have a different revenue stream. Then Cumulator can enhance production sustainability by adopting low emission manufacturing process where we are emitting. If you see technically we are, having no emission after the production, but what if we have a lot of production pollution, right? And we'll have it. It's not like we do have. Making batteries polluting, mining is polluting. So in our supply chain ecosystem, we have this risk. We have points like carpooling and all, shared transit, like buses. If you compare US and Europe, US is more like car friendly, and Europe, they have all bigger cities have good public transport. So if you want to grow in US, maybe car we can do individual cars, and in Europe we can come with public transport like buses and all. That can be the strategy. Cumulative tracks energy use, CO2 emissions, and production waste, but broader waste categories like packaging, end of life materials, recycling after 8 years, all of this has not been given. Safety, fault, and disposal we can focus on. Fault resolution, consumer education. They should be incentivized. They should be, clearly told how we are recycling and how they are contributing. If people think that actually recycling is happening, they are ready to put efforts. Emergency response and collaboration, safety ratings and regulatory approval. Cybersecurity and hacking risk is very big. Remember, we don't have an ID director. Data collection and consumer awareness. Vehicle data. Now we have softwares and a lot of time, like Tesla does and other companies also. They don't need to, bring the customer online itself. They can do a lot of updates. Sustainability recovery phases. We have to understand the total manufacturing stage, facility power supply, component processing and coating, recycling, end of life. So all of these places will have different levels of, uh, you know, opportunities to reduce the pollution, reduce the carbon footprint. For example, our factory can be solar power or wind power. Solar, wind, hydroelectric, geothermal. Component we can use green hydrogen base, water based coating, biomass energy, biodegradable components are there. And again, We don't know exactly how it will affect, it's not given in the pre-seen, the quality of the cards or the safety of the users if you're using all these methods. We can focus on public adoption, we can influence, collaborate. So collaboration is very important in this. And obviously, it should not be at the cost of compromising the profit. Point. Align clean energy transit with operational resilience and circularity. So that's it for the pre-seen now. We have one section remaining, the financial analysis. So we'll do that in the next video. Thank you.